So, after spending more time with the demo, I think I finally figured out what Sword Art Online Echoes of Aincrad is actually trying to be. My first video, I mostly talked about my initial impressions. The combat felt good, the world looked surprisingly nice, and the overall vibe felt much closer to Aincrad than some of the recent Sword Art Online games. But after a second session, I'm starting to pay less attention to the surface level stuff and more attention to how the game is actually structured. Honestly, that's where I think the game gets interesting, because underneath everything, Echoes of Aincrad is a game built around progression. Almost every system feeds into another system. You aren't just exploring to explore. You aren't fighting enemies just to fight enemies. You aren't even collecting loot just because the game wants to shower you with rewards. Everything is connected. And once I started understanding that loop, I started appreciating the game a lot more. The best place to start is probably the weapon system, because that's where most of your progression comes from. At first glance, it looks pretty standard. You find a weapon, you equip it, you make the numbers go up. But the deeper I dug into it, the more I realized there's quite a bit going on. Every weapon has its own attack value, scaling attributes, unique passive effect, and something called an X-mod. The easiest way to think about X-mods is that they bonus perks attached to the weapon. Things like increased attack damage, additional experience gained, more SP generation, stronger sword skills. And what I really like is that the game doesn't treat weapons as disposable loot. Most RPGs want you to constantly replace your gear every few levels. This game seems to want the opposite. You find something you like, invest in it, build around it. If you find another weapon with useful bonuses, you don't necessarily have to switch. You can use synthesis to inherit those bonuses and transfer them onto your preferred weapon. So suddenly, every weapon drop matters. Even a bad weapon can still be useful because it might contain a modifier you want. And that's where the loot system starts becoming interesting. Because enemies don't just drop crafting materials. They drop weapons, they drop money, they drop upgrade resources, they drop things that can directly improve your build. So every encounter feels meaningful. The weapon variety also seems surprisingly solid. You've got one-handed swords, rapiers, daggers, maces, greatswords, and axes, and each one has its own animations, sword skills, and passives. I ended up experimenting with multiple weapons throughout the demo, and I really appreciated that they don't feel like simple stat swaps. A rapier feels different from an axe feels different from a sword. Each weapon seems to be encouraging a different playstyle. And then on top of that, each weapon type has proficiency. So the more you use a weapon, the better you become with it. Increasing your weapon proficiency unlocks new sword skills for that weapon. So now you're leveling your character, leveling your weapon, you're leveling your weapon proficiency, which then unlocks new skills for your weapon. And on top of that, you have stacking your bonus modifiers through the synthesis system. It's just progression on top of progression layered within even deeper progression. And then you have the character growth system. By defeating enemies, you earn growth points and invest them into your character attributes such as vitality, endurance, strength, dexterity, agility, intelligence, and mind. Pretty standard stuff, but what makes it more interesting is that each stat has milestone rewards. So, for example, dexterity doesn't just improve dexterity weapons. It can improve parry windows, perfect dodge timing, sword skill damage. Agility can improve movement speed and dodge invulnerability. Intelligence can improve experience gain and increase the amount of gold you earn. So when you're building your character, you're not just chasing bigger numbers, you're chasing gameplay advantages. The game constantly gives you reason to think about how you want to play. Do you want stronger attacks, better dodges, more utility, faster progression? It's just flexible. And because respecs are cheap, you're encouraged to experiment instead of committing to one build forever. The crafting system ties directly into all of this. As you're exploring the world, you're constantly collecting materials, leaves, monster bones, ore, weapon fragments, animal hides, and all of these materials feed into either weapon crafting, armor crafting, or consumable crafting. The armor system is actually pretty neat too, because armor isn't just armor. Most pieces come with unique effects attached to them. One piece might reduce incoming damage, another improves dodge timing, another increases your attack speed. Shields get bonuses tied to parries. Boots can improve your mobility. So equipment isn't just about defense values, it's another layer of bold customization. One thing I really appreciate is how the game handles inventory management. Because let's be honest, games with a lot of loot often become inventory simulators, and that's not really fun. Yeah, whenever your inventory fills up, excess items automatically get sent to storage. It's such a simple quality of life feature, but after multiple hours picking up materials, weapons, and consumables, it was incredibly thoughtful. I never felt like I was fighting menus, I was just playing the game. Now, let's talk about the actual structure of the world, because this did surprise me. The maps are big, like genuinely big, bigger than I expected. When you enter a new area, most of the map is hidden. You can see distant pillars of light that act as safe zones. Once activated, they reveal portions of the map and show nearby points of interest. I actually think this is a smart compromise, because the game isn't constantly telling you where everything is. There's still a sense of exploration. You can see a landmark in the distance and decide to investigate. Maybe you find materials, maybe you find a chest, maybe you find lore or an elite enemy. The game rewards curiosity, and I found myself constantly getting distracted. I'd start heading toward a quest objective, then I'd spot a ruin, I'd spot a chest or an elite enemy or another piece of lore, and suddenly 20 minutes had disappeared. Speaking of lore, there's way more world building here than I expected. The database system is basically an encyclopedia for Aincrad. You can read about monsters, characters, locations, materials, equipment, and historical events. Some of it is genuinely interesting. You can learn about ancient elven civilizations, magical infrastructure, teleportation networks, the sacred tree, and the ecology of monsters. The game doesn't force any of this on you, but if you're the type of player who likes understanding a world, there's quite a bit to dig into. The partner system also looks like it's going to be a major part of the game. Every mission allows you to bring a companion. In the demo, I only had access to Iori, but the menus make it pretty obvious that more companions will become available later. Each partner has unique support abilities, unique combination attacks, unique combat roles, and different weapon options. So I can already see party composition becoming an important part of the progression later on. Honestly, that's probably my biggest takeaway after the second session. I came into this demo expecting an action RPG. What I found was a progression RPG. Everything feeds into everything else. Exploration leads to crafting materials. Crafting materials lead to better gear. Better gear improves your build. Your build improves your combat efficiency. Combat rewards you with weapons. Weapons improve proficiency. Proficiency unlocks skills, and skills improves your effectiveness in the world. It's one giant loop. And the more I played, the more I started understanding what the game wants from the player. It's not asking you to rush from quest marker to quest marker. It's asking you to engage with the systems. Explore, experiment, collect, upgrade, refine your build, and slowly become stronger. If the full game can maintain this progression loop while introducing more companions, more weapon types, more bosses, and more floors of Aincrad to explore, then I think Echoes of Aincrad might end up being one of the more interesting Sword Art Online games we've had in quite a while.